Hello and welcome to the OTB channel. For those who aren't familiar with my rambles, they're pretty much exactly what they say on the tin. It's a bit of an unstructured chat about the things that have been going through my head over the last few weeks, and this one is a little different. It's a New Year ramble, so I'm going to look at what the channel's achieved over the past year, or the 7 months that the channel's been going. I'm going to talk about what I have planned in the future, and I'm going to keep you up to date, give you a little bit of a spoiler on my Debian respin. I've now managed to add Mate to it, so I'll be showing you where I'm up to with that so far. So, let's go. So, hello. Happy New Year in advance of midnight tonight. I know you're watching all over the world. It's 2:25 in the afternoon at the moment on New Year's Eve. I'll be going with my wife down to the local pub this evening, and we will no doubt raise a glass or two. But until then, I thought it might be an appropriate time to just do a quick ramble and talk a little bit about where we're up to with the channel. Let me move to the split screen. As you're probably aware, the channel started off on the 1st of June 2019, so it's only been going for 7 months. I've produced 50 videos so far. This will be the 51st. So not as many as I would have liked. Generally speaking, I've tried to stick to a format where I upload one every Saturday. The last couple of weeks have been a little bit different. I've been off work on holiday for an extended Christmas break, and so I've managed to produce a little bit more content. And the result has been fairly dramatic, in as much as the subscribers on the channel raced from around 1,800 to where it is today, 2,330. So over 500 new subscribers gained. I don't know what I've done, whether it's just the increased content or whether it's the content itself that's caused that, but I'm over the moon about it. I mean, I've not seen growth like this on the channel since I started. So for all the new subscribers who've joined me, welcome. I'm glad you found my videos interesting, and I hope you enjoy what I intend to produce over the course of the next year. So I've been looking at what I've been doing over the year to try and get some sort of handle on what sort of videos you've enjoyed the most. And there is a sort of pattern here, but it's a bit of a scrappy pattern at the moment. I've produced a range of how-to videos, culminating in the one where I did my Debian respin. And to be honest, I don't necessarily expect the how-to videos to do that well initially, because they tend to be things people would search specifically for. Nevertheless, of all the things I produce on the channel, I think I enjoy them the most. And so I'm going to be continuing to do how-to, certainly over the year. I also do reviews, as you know, and they get a mixed response. Obviously, the channel's grown over the course of the last 7 months, so they're getting more views on the whole now than they were. But, I mean, I've had some pretty amazing results. My Linux Mint 19.3 review, 8.6 thousand reviews. Clearly, that's something people are interested in, so Linux Mint is certainly a thing, and it's incredibly popular. While we're on the issue of Linux Mint, some people took issue with me referring to it as a beginner distro. So let me just clarify what I meant by that. I don't in any way mean that Linux Mint is just for beginners. Linux is Linux. Anybody can use it, even power users. I don't consider myself a power user, but even power users can use it. What I really meant was the installation process is a nice next process, and you're pretty much set up straight away. I was impressed. I thought it was a good distro, and clearly a lot of you thought so as well. What I was really surprised about, though, was my review on the Arch Linux Zen installer. That's got 8.7 thousand views as well. That was quite unexpected. I thought to myself, people keep telling me about this Zen installer and to give it a go. And so I thought I'd give it a go and do a review. I wasn't quite prepared for the interest that was shown. But hey, great. People obviously like a GUI program for installing the likes of Arch. And in fact, my ArchFi script review has only so far got 1.4 thousand views. So it's pretty clear where the popularity is. What else have I done? I've done rambles over the course of the year. I've done little bits and pieces about customizing the desktop. I've done a few commentaries, one distro to rule them all, and a couple of, I suppose you'd call them commentaries, where I've responded to what other people have been saying on Tinterweb. Strangely enough, though, my most popular video so far was probably what I considered my most contentious one, which was installing Office 365 in Linux, which continues to get the most views every single week. It's now over 10,000. Okay. So what am I looking at over the next year? Well, given what this seems to be telling me, I'm going to continue to do reviews. Ultimately, I produce what you guys seem to like, but I also produce what I enjoy doing. So I'm going to produce reviews when I find a distro that I think's interesting, and it may not always be a popular big name. It'll be something that I just want to look at. So this coming year, I would quite like to break out a little bit and look at something like BSD. No real ideas of where I'm going with that at the moment, but just something I'm thinking about. I'm going to continue to do how-tos for various things. Spinning Debian, my respin, I'm continuing to work on that as a bit of a hobby. And I think what I will eventually do is just like Esnix. I think I will share the ISO on SourceForge once I'm happy with it, and let you see what you think. It's not going to be a distro that I maintain. It's literally just going to be Debian stable with my tweaks in, and if you enjoy it, all good. I'm also, based on the Office 365 popularity, thinking of doing a few more things about cross-compatibility between Linux and Windows, especially for those of you who dual boot. I've got a few ideas about that. I still dual boot on a number of my laptops, and it's not always simple to share files and folders between different operating systems, largely because of the limitations of Windows, I have to say. But I'm going to talk about that in more detail. I'm going to continue to look at little bits and pieces that I come across, problems that I uncover over the course of the weeks. And I'm also going to try and move away a little bit more from using a virtual machine all the time. I've had quite a few comments from you guys that bare metal is always best, and yeah, I agree, bare metal is always best. It's not always convenient when you want to do a quick review though, and VirtualBox is wonderful for that. However, I've just ordered off eBay a little ThinkPad 131E. I had one of these at the beginning of the year and I sold it because I thought I just had too many laptops and ThinkPads gathering dust. But it was a cracking little machine, and I've just managed to pick one up for 50 quid on eBay, and I've ordered some more RAM and an SSD for it, and it's going to be my test machine. So I am going to be installing a lot more on bare metal in the new year. What else? What else am I going to be doing? Let's have a look at where I'm up to with my Debian respin. So here we go. You can see in front of you the login screen, Light DM, for my Debian respin or OTBspin, or whatever I decide to call it in the end. It's got all the custom settings on, and I've managed to install Mate on it, but it does also have XFCE there as an option. And if I log in, it retains all of its settings. I managed to compile Mate into it this time without any problems. I had the kernel panic error when I first tried to produce the Mate desktop. I think it was probably something I had configured, but once I'd got the XFCE desktop up and running, I thought I'd just add the various bits and pieces in and install Mate as well. So it's currently the ISO standing at 2.2 gigs, which is quite hefty, but it's got 2 desktop environments in it, and it's got a fair amount of software. Most of this software is what Esnix had installed on his system, so you can see as I go through accessories, administration. It's got Synaptic Package Manager, obviously. It's got a few games and a DOSBox emulator. It's got the GIMP, GThumb, etc. It's got Chromium, FileZilla, Firefox, Liferia, Rumina, Thunderbird and Transmission. It's also got the whole of the LibreOffice suite, and a range of sound and video applications, Audacity, Handbrake, Parole, etc., etc. VLC, obviously. And a whole rack of different system tools. I'm pretty happy with how this is going. It's not ready to put out there yet. I want to tweak the software that it's got on it. I also want to basically try and get Flatpaks installed on it. With Debian stable, the software is older than you would like, and so I personally on my desktop tend to use Flatpaks for things like OBS Studio and Kdenlive. And my intention is to have that set up from scratch. If I log out of this now and I go into the XFCE desktop, you'll see that that also retains my custom look and feel. I've not logged into this one before, but there we go. Everything's still there. That was a bit of a risk because I hadn't checked that XFCE was still set up as I wanted it. It doesn't actually look much different to Mate, to be honest, with the single panel at the top. And obviously you have everything here that you can access from Mate. So, lots going on here at the moment. I've thoroughly enjoyed creating this spin, and give it a month. Let me iron out a few little bugs and get the things in it that I want to get in it, and I'll put it up there for you to give it a try if you'd like to. So that's the OTBspin, work in progress. If any of you have any ideas about software that you would like included in it as standard, please let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to actually include them, whatever you want. I'm still figuring out how to get the hooks working and to build in some custom hooks. So I've got a few bits and pieces to sort out yet. But yeah, I've absolutely loved doing it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to rise to the top of DistroWatch. In fact, I'm not even going to send it there, but I'll just stick it on SourceForge, and you can have a look if it interests you. At the moment, it hasn't got the Calamaris installer on the live ISO. It just has the standard Debian installer, which is fine, works great. I'm going to have a go at putting Calamaris, though, on it, just to make for a simpler install in the live environment, because I do like Calamaris. What else do I want to talk about? Yeah, it's been interesting this year, really. We had a time where the differences between UK English and US English started to be highlighted. I don't think I'm always know that I'm doing it, but I suppose I do use UK slang, and it was queried what's actually a quid. Well, it's a pound. When I was just talking about what I've been doing, I have to say that if you're not from the UK, we use a strange mix of things here. We went through decimalisation in the, I think was it 1970, something like that, where we moved over to pounds that in turn were made up of 100 pennies. And that replaced our old system of pounds that had previously been made up of 20 shillings, and each shilling had 12 pennies to it. And those of us of a certain generation tend to swap and change between the decimalisation system and the older system when we're talking. Decimalisation and the metric system has never completely taken over in the UK. So for those of us of a certain age, again, I'm usually more comfortable talking about things like gallons and feet, inches and yards than I am talking in terms of meters and centimeters and liters, although we swap and change interchangeably. So yeah, we have a sort of bit of a mixed personality here. The younger generation are fully metric conversant, but not so much me. Yeah, that was interesting. What else? Yeah, I've been watching an awful lot of YouTube this year, trying to get to grips with what other people are doing and to see how they present their videos. They always look to me, other people's videos, so polished. I really can't promise that mine ever will be that polished. One of the main reasons I run this channel is so that I can have a natter with you, a chat. More UK slang. Yeah, and I can't speak quite as fast as some of these people I see. I don't know how they get the words out so fast, but hey, I don't do that. So I can't see a lot changing. You have, however, seen a few things change in terms of the hardware and the environment in which I'm recording these videos. My latest, and they've been a flipping nuisance, is these audio tiles, which I don't think they do a great deal, but I thought they might look quite nice. I've had terrible trouble with them dropping off the walls constantly. In fact, on my last video, I think this one fell off mid-video. Wasn't helped by the fact that the cat had been playing with it the night before and did most of the work. But apart from that, there's been a few changes to hardware. I started off with the C920 webcam. I moved up to a slightly better webcam, in my opinion, the Razer Kaiju. And a couple of months ago, I actually moved over to the A5100 Sony mirrorless, which I've been happy with so far. And I've played around with the settings, and I have to say, I've formed the opinion I'm just going to leave it on default. It seems to produce as good a picture as any on that. I've also gone through various hardware changes in terms of the microphone. Excuse me. I started off with the Blue Yeti. I moved over to the Audio-Technica AT2020, but really wanted to up my game a little bit, and I fancied getting a dynamic mic. And so you've probably noticed I've moved across to the Rode Procaster, which I'm quite happy with. I knew that moving across to the Rode Procaster would probably put a great deal of strain on my Focusrite Scarlett, because it is very gain hungry. And in fact, I did try plugging it into the Focusrite Scarlett when I first got it, and the volume out of it was just nowhere near enough. But knowing that, I had already looked at solutions to that before I bought the mic. And just as a sort of tip, not sponsored by these people or anything like that, I've been told that, or most of the videos that you watch tell you to buy something called a cloud lifter or a FET in order to pre-amplify the signal before it goes into your preamp. And what they seem to do, those little gadgets, is to use the phantom power that you wouldn't normally use with a dynamic mic in order to boost the signal. They're about £150. Well, the cloud lifter's about £150 on Amazon currently, and I didn't want to spend something similar on a microphone and have to do the same again with buying a cloud lifter. But I came across what I believe is a great little find, and let me just go to the split screen. For any of those, or for any of you actually looking for something like a cloud lifter or a FET head, I found this on eBay. It's by a very small company called Marty Audio, and it looks very much like a FET head. I've got it installed on this mic at the moment, and it was only 44 pounds, and it does the job. Basically made by this one guy, and it's got made with Nutric nickel silver contacts, lifetime connectors, and it works really well. In fact, to such an extent, and let me go back to the normal screen, to such an extent, I had the gain turned up all the way on my preamp when I first installed the mic, and I was getting hardly any sound out of it. And what I was getting with the gain turned all the way up was pretty noisy sound. I installed this little device in line. I bought a little 1 meter XLR, and I've kind of shoved it between the two XLR cables, and suddenly my gain knob, which had been all the way over to kind of 25 past, suddenly only needed to go to 5 past. Absolutely amazing. It was an instant fix. So that's sort of the main hardware changes that have happened, and I'm not really planning on any more apart from buying this little X131E ThinkPad to do a little bit more on bare metal installations. So what else? I'm not, apart from YouTube, I'm really not very active on social media. I do have a Twitter page, and every time I produce a video, I put a link on the Twitter page. But I'll be honest, I don't really interact with it very much. Facebook, well, it's a personal thing. Facebook Messenger's great for talking to my sons. I don't do much more on it. And in the medium term, I don't think I'm going to expand out into other social media platforms. I really enjoy what I'm doing on YouTube at the moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I have been asked, though, can you not start a WhatsApp group? Can you not do this? Can you not do that? And I have concerns about privacy, and I'm not really sure that I want to do that. Having said that, I did create an OldTechBloke Facebook group a couple of months ago, which I haven't promoted at all. There's about 4 people on it. And my original thought was, well, if you want to join it, you can all have a chat with each other, and I'll drop in occasionally and have a natter. But it's not something that I necessarily have the time to manage on a day-to-day basis. So it's there if you want to have a look, but there's not many people there. So other platforms, probably not at the moment. I really want to concentrate on building up the channel. I think it's done quite well so far, and I'm hoping that continues into 2020. Now, on the subject of 2020, I start work again on Thursday. So, although I've really enjoyed producing all these additional videos, it will go back to a video every Saturday, and occasionally maybe one additional one, probably produced on a Sunday. But for the most part, it's going to be once a week, apart from when I have the additional time to produce them. It's just a case of needs must. I'm away a lot of the week with work, so I'm not always about to do a video. And certainly for the first few months of next year, my diary is pretty full. But I will keep things rolling, and I'll be here at least once a week. So I'm going to wrap it up at this stage. Guys, thanks very much for your support so far over the last 7 months. It's been really appreciated. I've been quite stunned that people have enjoyed watching this channel. The fact that there's 2,300 people who have subscribed to the channel sort of blows me away a little bit. And your comments, I get to your comments once every 4 or 5 days. I'm not constantly checking them, otherwise I'd send myself mad. I do appreciate your comments, even the less than pleasant comments, and of course we all get them. But hey-ho, it's just one of those things. But guys, have a great New Year's Eve. I wish you and your families all the best for the new year, and I look forward to a great 2020, and I hope you all have a great 2020. I hope you've thought of some New Year's resolutions that you're going to keep. I have one, and it's got nothing to do with Linux. I've been a smoker for 45 years. I've smoked 40 a day for the best part of those 45 years. And from tonight, I'm going to try and switch full-time to vaping, which I've been playing around with, just to try and stop the inevitable. So keep your fingers crossed for me. Anyway, guys, enjoyed having a chat, and I'll see you in the new year.